you two.
Sorry.
Thanks. Was on some good then.
Carry on. Sorry.
Do you need to go right this second?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Oh, going on to what Jack was saying, and what you were saying, it is down to people's choice. God gave us conscience to make the right and wrong decision at the end of the day. So you agreeing with China's dictatorship is actually going against God himself. Is that what you're implying?
Is China a religious country?
Probably. Buddhist.
Are
they going more against Buddhism?
I would just like to read a quote I heard that I found on the internet. To limit the press is to insult a nation. To prohibit reading of certain books is to declare the inhabitants to be either fools or slaves. And I believe this quote is amazing in this particular topic.
So let's repeat that again, Alec.
To limit the press is to insult a nation. To prohibit reading of certain books is to declare the inhabitants to be either fools or slaves.
Okay, Ed?
Just to go back to Steve's point that everyone's born with common sense, that's not true. Hitler did things, isn't it? Common sense is not good. You've got mass murderers in countries like Africa and in Europe, so not everyone has common sense, so it's our job to make sure that people who don't have common sense don't get anywhere near this stuff.
Yes, some guidelines. Yeah, Matthew, you had your hand up as well.
And
yeah?
And add on to what Ed said as well, even if you may think a person has common sense, they can easily be persuaded, and we've seen that many times, to do with terrorism, suicide bombers. Let's say a few months ago they could have been a normal person walking around, but because these people, they can manipulate people into thinking that what they're doing is right, which was stopped.
Okay, Sam, I'm going to go for Tom actually because he's had his hand up for a while, then Sam, then Christian.
No. Basically, to do with what you guys were saying about World of Warcraft and Christian parents not letting children go to parties, they're basically rational censorship things. If you're looking at China, run by a dictator who I imagine is quite violent himself, censoring things that really should be available to people, that's irrational to do that. It's basically imprisoning people in their own country. So even if they wanted to make a choice, which is what you touched upon, they're not able to make these choices. So how are they to learn? Even if they wanted to, they couldn't research anything. And it's that strict that even if they tried to look at not necessarily the most extreme things, some little tiny things are censored as well that they can't search for.
Okay, can I make it real quick? It's not very big. Basically, so maybe blowing it a little bit out of proportion, but say if you give somebody a gun and say you make the choice whether to kill somebody with this or not, it's essentially the same, because you're giving somebody the tool to find or do something. You just got to try and trust them to not do it, and you're giving them the tool, say Google, to find something they don't want to see, but you've got to trust them to not.
That's an interesting analogy, okay? Jack has essentially just said that giving Google to the Chinese people is like handing them a loaded weapon, which I think is that's an interesting analogy.
You don't really hand them the Google. You give them the tool to find the gun,
Sam,
but not actually handing them the weapon.
Just as bad.
Yeah, Sam?
Okay, so there's just 2 points, going back to what Ed, and I think it was what Dave said, about common sense. The majority of people in the world have some form of common sense, whether they're taught it or just with their natural
Alec, you're bringing me home one
attitude for it. But there's no point sacrificing everyone else's freedom just to prevent a few weak-minded people from committing crimes. And my second point is about I think what Ben said a while ago about the government in China doing all this censorship for the people's own good. When in reality they're not. They're preventing people from spending too much time on games and stuff, so they'll do more work and produce more money for their own coffers. Because it is a dictatorship, and they don't do things for their own people.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so you're saying that within the kind of communist regime, even though everyone is equal and everyone does their bit, essentially their bit is for everyone else rather than themselves. So can I just go to Charlie, because you seem quite outraged by what Jack just said a second ago.
just a recap on what Jack said.
Talking about Google being like a loaded gun.
Yeah, but you're not giving them a weapon. You're more or less giving them the know about what is all going on. You're not giving them ammunition to kill people. You're just giving them knowledge to,
know how to kill people.
But
Matthew,
you're not doing that.
what? Yeah.
You're not giving them a weapon.
But they do have that. They can learn how to do it, and that they can be manipulated by seeing it. It may seem a bit out there, but they could think, I like the look of this. There's someone who's not,
And then they'll probably
who's
join the
who's
army.
not all there in the head. That all it takes is one loose screw, and they can be persuaded by anything.
Ed?
Just to rebuttal to Sam's point about why should we say to the people who have got common sense, or if they've got the common sense and they don't want to see this kind of stuff, it's a stuff we're saying they shouldn't have, they shouldn't want to watch it, they've got common sense, they won't mind not being able to not see it.
Right, okay, yes, that's an interesting point. So if they've got the common sense, they're not going to want to see it in the first place, so what difference does it make if they can't see it? Alec, you've had your hand up for a long time.
I'd like to add quite a few points to this.
God.
The first is that you're saying that censorship is good for the Chinese people, but what about when they leave the country and go to countries that are uncensored and stuff like that? They are given the ability to use Google and stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure that there's some kind of rule about
You can't leave your country.
Yeah.
They're literally slaves in their own country where they can't do anything.
I know Chinese people.
They're not free.
I've also got other points. What happens when people who go from other countries and visit China? Why they all of a sudden have this ability to have their own common sense, and then are now forced into censorship where they're not allowed to do stuff? They feel like they've become slaves in a country that they're not even from.
Okay, can I just pause you there? Right, we're coming to the end. What I want to do now, 2, 4, 6, 8.
We're destroying them
8
slowly.
against 4. Okay, all I want is just a final statement from everybody. Everybody has to make a contribution, just something about what we've been talking about. Okay, you can keep your points, no rebuttals.
What do you mean?
No comebacks. I just want you to make a final point about what we've been talking about. Okay. In fact, we can leave. No, keep the humour out. You can even. It doesn't have to be related to the China issue. Okay. Censorship in general. If you want to talk about China, then that's fine.
One thing about what Ed said.
Yeah.
It's all censored and it affects people who have common sense. Then what about people who produce the media? They've got common sense and they need to use this material.
Yeah.
The source of common sense.
Touche. Okay. We're going to have to do it 2 points from this side, 1 point from that side, 2 points from this side, 1 point
I
from
thought
that
you
side.
wanted a point from everyone.
We've got quotes.
Yeah,
you do two.
one person, and then, yeah.
Right,
So you, and you, and Jack. And yeah. Okay, so Chris. Okay, we'll come to you at the end. Yeah, I want something from you. Okay, well, okay, Steve.
Considering the public have two opinions, and as entertainers, we need to meet our target audience, which is the public.
Okay. Andy?
Without free speech, no search for truth is possible. So, if you don't give anyone free speech, then what chance do they have of ever getting the word out?
Okay,
So,
Jack.
discovery of truth.
There's a level at which you can portray, even if you're sort of talking about war, you can portray it without having to do something too violent. So you can, if you had a gun in that game and you shot somebody and they fell over but there was no blood, there was no dismemberment, the point is still there that you shot them and killed them and they died. You don't need the blood and the dismemberment to make a point that that person is dead.
Okay, Alec and Sam?
I'd like to just use another quote here that I've got. Dr. Cheryl Olson from Harvard Medical School, and this is relating to how violence is in games and about the youth and how they influence. The youth crime rate has gone down rather than up, and it makes sense that these games are actually meeting their needs. So the youth that are normally angry and normally go out, they're using these games to vent their anger out, and rather than if they get frustrated from a game as well, like someone killing them, it's still not gonna. They're not going to get crazy and go mental and go on a massive killing spree.
Okay, good point. I'm just going to go to Christian just so he doesn't forget.
Yeah, going back to what Jack said, you're right in saying that they have the ability to get the point across without the blood and the gore, but again, you have the option to turn that sort of thing off in the game.
Okay.
David, you're going?
Yes, with what I was saying earlier, I think it's good that China has censored a lot of the things that you can find on the internet, because you can stumble across thousands upon thousands of things that you wouldn't want to, that anyone could click on. So if you, say for a young child who didn't know what it was to click on it and then see something disgusting like someone being murdered, for instance, I think it could traumatise them.
Okay, yeah. Sam, Charlie?
Well, Theodore Schroeder said...
Come on guys, pay attention.
Said that censorship always protects and perpetuates every horror of the prevailing forms of oppression. With us, its subtle disguises increase its evils by creating delusions of safety, liberty and democracy. It precludes the intelligence which is necessary to hasten wholesome and natural social evolution. Basically. He's basically saying we are taking away our humanity.
Okay, so censoring
everything.
Right, okay.
Right, back to China. You know, these people didn't ask to be born in this country. You know, they deserve to have the right to know about these things. And as a when it's a democracy, it's totally unfair to just not let these people know about, you know, the real life, real world.
Yeah, fair point. Matthew.
That's the whole war issue.
Guys,
it doesn't
come on.
matter how you dress up, you're still killing somewhere, so you should be able to do that with all the good violence.
Okay, yeah. So war is a real thing, and you shouldn't be able to actually commit these crimes in the games or out, you know, watch them on other media texts. Matthew. Pro-censorship, anti-censorship even. Come back to you. Yeah, think something quickly though, yeah? Tom?
I'd just like to say that without choice, we're not actually free.
Simple, to the point. Ed, calm down guys. Wait a sec. 2 more people left to speak. Ed.
I can cover for you.
No, that's right, yeah.
If you censor too much stuff, people will not be able to learn the truth about what happens through the world.
Hindering evolution.
Go
on then. Jack, go on.
And with choice, we're given the ability to kill ourselves.
Killing blow, there it is. Yeah, high five.
Okay, guys.
Come on, guys, we're a we all love each other.